Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start. I just wanted to have kind of a quickie discussion about, we're going to be talking about specifically fillers today, not really anything on Botox. That can be a different virtual learning session. So this is going to be kind of Bellafill centric just because that's my favorite filler. But what I'm talking about, the basic concepts and the before and afters that you're seeing can pretty much be done with any filler. So this is going to be depressing, but anyway, as you get older, the skin starts to change, the bone structure that holds your skin up starts to change, the muscles change secondary to the bone, decreasing. And what you see on the surface is sagging, wrinkles, and a change in the skin quality. And I know a lot of this, for those of you that have been with me a while, this is all repetitive, but I say it over and over again because it's important to understand before you let somebody put anything in your face, I think. Most people understand that they're losing fat pads, that the fat pads are descending or herniating and also getting smaller, so pulling away from one another. If you look at the picture on the left, you can see the youthful face, all the fat pads are tightly together. There's no lines in between them, there's no gaps. As you get older, the fat pads, not only are they lower, but they've also decreased in size. So you get all these divots or areas that catch shadow on the skin. That's what you're seeing on the surface. You're seeing folds. But I always say this, I think the biggest impact on facial aging is actually bone loss. So if you look at the picture of the skull, on the left side, you have the youthful face. So what the skull looks like when you're young. And if you look at the skull on the right-hand side, as you can see, it's smaller. If you look directly at the jaw, that's getting thinner. The orbital rim, or the part of the bone that holds your eyeball, that circle actually gets larger as you get older. And the hole that holds your nasal cartilage gets larger too. The reason that we have that saying, long in the tooth, I don't know if that's a Southern saying, I feel like it might be, is because your teeth actually do look like they're getting longer, but they're not. You're actually losing your maxillary bone, so you're seeing more of the tooth exposed. Just all these things to look forward to. And so you also see a change in the profile of the face as the skull changes. And I kind of like to think of it like, if you think about the skull and the skull getting smaller or shrinking, but the skin staying the same size, of course, it's not as well supported. So everything kind of falls. And that's going on, all the way around your head, not just in the front plane. You always hear me talk about the triangle of youth. And so what I'm referring to is when we're young, when we're in our 20s, the widest part of the face is really at the eyes or at the brow line. As we get older, that triangle inverts or turns upside down. You become much heavier in the jowl area and much thinner in the temples. So one of the things with filler that we always try to do, no matter what filler we're using, is try to restore that triangle. So people will come in and they'll be fixated, on their nasolabial folds. And that isn't really what the problem is. The problem is above it. And the problem is usually to the side of the face. So I always tell women, wherever you're having to pull to get that line to go away or look less severe is where we're most likely going to put your filler. I kind of like to think of the, face, I break it down to shapes. And I think about shapes, when I'm filling somebody. And I think for somebody that's over, let's say, the age of 40, one of the things that we need to address is the jawline, the falling of the jawline, we'll call it. So you're losing bone along the jaw and you need to rebuild this. It will not make the face look wider and more square. It actually thins out and makes the face look a little more feminine if it's injected correctly. This is a great slide of just the difference in the amount of collagen that's in the skin when you're a teenager versus when you're an older adult. And if you look at those little threads, that's all the collagen. And so what happens, that decreases pretty dramatically as we get older, and that's for both men and women. So there's two kinds of fillers on the US market. Almost everything in the United States is a hyaluronic acid. What makes one different than another is who manufactures it. There's 4 manufacturers in the United States of fillers, and the particle size. So I kind of think of it like cubes of ice versus crushed ice. I would use a cube or a very large molecule hyaluronic acid in places that I want to pick up the tissue. So if you have a lot of cheek volume loss, that would be a good place to use a large volume HA. If I'm trying to be really superficial and inject fine lines and wrinkles, I'm going to use a teeny tiny one. And that would be something like Volbella, Bellatero, Silk. And that allows you to be more close to the skin surface without seeing the filler. So we'll call those apples. And again, that's almost everything that we have. But then there's 3 biostimulating dermal fillers on the US market. There's Bellafill, Radiesse, and Sculptra. These work differently in that you're injecting particulate, and that particulate for each one of them is a polymer, and that particulate is a foreign body that sits in the dermis. We inject it in there. It's too big to be moved, so what your body does, it's a healing process. It just kind of surrounds it with collagen and elastin to hold it there, and that's a safety mechanism as well. And the reason that's a great thing is because it gives a longevity to the filler, but also it forces the dermis to be thicker by producing more collagen. If you have more collagen in your dermis behaves younger and looks younger. So as a result, you start to get better skin, or the skin starts to look better on the surface. And again, I said this is kind of Bellafill centric, this just because it's my favorite filler, because I personally do not like to be injected, and I'm at an age where I need a long lasting filler. And this last 5 years is what it's FDA approved for. And this just talks about the 2 different types of collagen. And this is true for Bellafill, but it's also true for Radiesse and Sculptra as well. It's just that those products don't have the longevity that Bellafill does. Here's a male who has been injected with significant product. And you can see that not only, I'll show you a frontal, but also just the way that his profile's changed for the better. And just how much younger he looks, again, addressing under his eyes, along the brow, along the jaw. For a male face, you're always going to square that jaw off, because we want to kind of make a guy look like a box if we want to think in shapes. This is one of my star patients, and I keep updating her photos because we started, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago. And this after photo is her today. And the reason that her skin looks so great is because I've used collagen stimulators on her. So it's thickened the skin. But the other thing, if you look under her eyes, she has that drapey tissue on her upper eyelid, but also underneath. And again, if you thicken the dermis, you're going to take those wrinkles away. And the other nice thing is that when the person animates, they're not going to look weird. Because it's just your own tissue. Again, the same thing here. You can see the difference around this lady's eyes. It's pretty significant. She looks great. And I've chosen to do all postmenopausal women because I think that if you can do it to this demographic, you can do it to any age group. People in their 30s and 40s are a lot less challenging and easier, and it takes less product. So again, this is a patient that, I think she looks 10 years younger at least. And again, I use a collagen stimulating filler and tried to restore that triangle. You can see it made a huge difference for her. This is another star patient. She's 80 years old. Again, 80. This works across the board in every age group. And that's the best part about these fillers, and it's the reason that they're my favorite, because not only are you getting the volume loss addressed, but you're also getting improved skin elasticity and tone on the surface. Then I show my own picture. Here I am at 42 in the before, and then 50 in the after picture. And My skin almost looks airbrushed. There's no filter on there. You can see that I'm aging when you look at my lips. Obviously, they look thinner. But the quality of my skin is so much better. And that really is because of Bellafill. So picture is worth 1,000 words. All right, guys, I'm not seeing any questions. And a lot, like I said, a lot of you have probably sat through this before. So the other thing I don't think I mentioned that I wanted to say was you guys are good to go. You do, if you're a new patient and you sat through this, you don't need to have a consultation. You can just schedule. Go ahead and schedule your filler. And if you're on this list, you will be cleared to schedule and get it with me. So I look forward to seeing you guys. So I do have a question on here about pricing. And I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. We have various sales throughout the year. So, you know, certainly look on our Instagram. The most common way we communicate with patients is through the email. Almost all our fillers, like our HAs, are $650. Bellafill's $1,000 a syringe, but you get a discount if you get more product. And again, we can talk about that. And Voluma is $800 a syringe. But like I said, we do have special sales and specials throughout the year. So just be on the lookout for those. People can get, another question, let me read you the question, I forget you guys can't see it. They do get Botox and fillers at the same time. One of the things that we do is we do the filler first, and then we always do the Botox last, because once you put Botox in, you don't want to be smushing and rubbing around on the face, but you absolutely can do them on the same visit. Okay, another question. What other things would you recommend for the aging face? So of course, anything that's going to improve the color of the skin and the quality of the skin, things like laser to address reds and browns, that's a great thing to do to pull some of those colors out and make your skin more monochromatic. One of my favorite modalities is RF microneedling. So it's radio frequency coupled with microneedling. So that is great because it's addressing texture and skin quality, skin laxity. It tightens things up. It is not a facelift, but it is amazing how much better you can make the skin look, especially along the jawline. You know, and again, if you come in for a consult and you know, you're in your late 60s and you've never done anything, I mean, I'm not gonna try to sell you filler if what you need is a facelift. But I do like people to know, even with a full facelift, your best plastic surgeons are putting filler in as well. So let me just say. One of the last things that I didn't talk about was, I have a question about acne scarring. The best treatment that we're seeing for that, of course, you know, Bellafill's the only FDA approved filler for acne scarring, and it's for atrophic distensible acne scarring. And all that means is that it's the kind of scar that's not so tied down. And the best way to test for this is to take the scar between your fingers, stretch it. If you can get it flat, it's a good one to fill. There are other types of scars, boxcar scars and ice pick scars, which are the ones that look like little toothpick holes. We have some modalities to help them. They are much harder to treat. None of the acne scarring stuff is a one and you're done. And I think that's true of facial aging as well. You know, I wish that was true, but we have a lot of tools in our toolbox. And we often use multiple modalities to get you to the best outcome, whether it's acne or if it's anti-aging. And so I think there is a shift happening just in the industry overall, where people understand now they're not just going to come in and get Botox and be great unless you're 25, right? But, you know, by the time that you're in your 40s and 50s, it is going to take multiple things to get you looking as great as you can look. But certainly if you stay on top of it, I mean, you know, it's definitely money-wise manageable and worth doing because it makes you feel better. The other thing is, if somebody comes in for an acne consult, the first thing I'm going to do is kick them to my colleague for a medical workup, because you want to have the acne under control. medically. So that might mean something topical. It might mean something oral that you're taking. I mean, we have just different medical treatments that we can do. We do accept insurance. So that's really that's the first step in getting acne under control. And then you come back to me and we address, you know, the scarring, the discoloration that can happen from acne and things like that. But it's a two-step process. You want to treat it medically and then you can treat it aesthetically. So one of the questions, I have a question here, will filler affect the acne? If you have active acne, we're not going to probably go around it with filler because, you know, you've got to get that under control. If you have cystic acne, and again, I'm hesitant to jump into this, but I will. There are different treatments, but really for cystic acne, the best treatment is an oral medication that you need to take that requires a lot of monitoring, and it's great, and it's great for cystic acne, but you know, it's not without side effects. So, and certainly come on in for a consult and we could talk to you about that and tell you what your best options are. I don't think I posted our phone number. It's 828-585-5489 if you do want to make an appointment. You can always reach out on Instagram as well if you have additional questions. Let me see. I think that's everything. All right, guys. Well, I think this went well, and hopefully in the future we'll get to do some more of these. I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the office. Bye.